Welcome to Helpful Humans, the podcast about people who are creating good in our world by helping and empowering others. I'm Kim Drobes, and I'm honored to share these stories with you. They get to the heart of who we are as human beings while exploring our inherent desire to make a difference.
That first day I came to her house, it was a little old lady. It was all dark. She was very apprehensive about having us come in. But I don't know what it was. We seemed to connect. And then slowly, it's just started to get easier and easier. And she met so many friends. And to see her like come out of the shell little by little was really just, it was just magical to be able to see that.
That's John Kinney, an electrician from Woburn, Massachusetts, talking about the transformation he witnessed in Gloria Scott, a 73-year-old woman who had been isolated and living on her own for over 10 years. But that isolation would soon change when in August of last year, John's company, Kinney Electric, got a call from Gloria requesting service for her broken lights. At that time, John could have never imagined the massive change his presence would soon encourage, not only in Gloria's house, but also in her life.
It all started with the infamous phone call from Gloria Scott. She called me up, said she had some sparks shooting out of her light. I went over there. Right away, the first thing I looked at was the light fixture, and I saw that the insulation was all corroded, and it was actually a fire hazard. So that caused the circuit breaker to trip, which controlled half of the lights. It was the middle of summer, so she had no AC. The refrigerator was off, no lights. So it was pretty bad. So I knew right away that it was extensive electrical damage, and we turned on the lights, and that's when I saw that there was a lot more going on, and that Gloria needed a lot more help.
Getting Gloria's lights back on wasn't a small job. In fact, it's a job that would have normally cost a client well over $3,000. But then came John's first of many charitable choices concerning Gloria. He made the decision not to charge her for his work.
I don't know. Just seeing the condition she was in, she kind of reminded me of my Nana. I don't know. I was in the position to help and do something, and it wasn't a question. I just knew I had to. I couldn't leave her there with her lights off.
So John got her lights back on, free of charge. And when the house lit up, John saw the conditions that Gloria had been living in. And honestly, it was really, really bad.
Peeled wallpaper. I looked up at the ceilings, chunks of plaster was coming down. She mentioned something like animals, raccoons were getting in upstairs. One of the things I saw was the kitchen faucet was broken, so it was spewing out hot water. And to remedy that, she was shutting off the main water pressure control down in the basement. So it was like she had like no running water in the house. The hoarding, the collapsed back porch. It was just a dilapidated, unsafe home for her. Just everywhere you looked, stuff was just falling down. And my main concern was, like a piece of plastic could fall down and hit her in the head. It was just literally like huge chunks of plaster just hanging there. So it was the house was definitely just in shambles. I've been in plenty of like bad houses, but nothing I've seen in, the 15 years I've been doing this remotely compared to the condition of her house.
To say that the house left an impression on John would be an understatement, because in reality, John couldn't get that house or Gloria off of his mind.
Yeah, so I went, I think I met her that Friday, and that weekend, me and my family went up to White Mountains. We were camping. Me and my brothers do a lot of hiking up there. So it was around the campfire, I told them, like, hey, I met this old lady in Woburn. She reminds me of Nana. She's in there, the light. I told them everything that happened. And they were like, wow, And the next day we did our hike. Throughout that, though, it was just like Gloria stayed on my mind. I just pictured her there, So I knew, it was a fun weekend and everything, but I knew I had to get back in there.
And here's where a charitable story of a free electric repair turns into something much, much greater. After the break, we'll hear how John rallied his community to help and started a movement now known as Gloria's Gladiators.
Hi, this is Sean, one of the producers here on Helpful Humans. If you're looking for more inspiring stories that highlight community and human connection, then check out our sister podcast, Rochambeau. Rochambeau is the podcast about the world's most unique competitions and the amazing competitors that make them happen. With stories that celebrate both the quirky and the crazy, including barstool ski racing, competitive air guitar, and the search for the world's ugliest dog, Rochambeau is really fun, lighthearted, and always interesting. That's Rochambeau, spelt ROSHAMBO. Listen and subscribe today on your favorite podcast provider.
After John returned from a great family weekend camping and reflecting, he decided to go back to Gloria's and see if she would be open to a little more help.
So that Monday, I just came back over to her house. I knocked on the door, and she looked a little surprised to see me, but she came out, and I said, it was nice meeting you, and I was thinking about you over the weekend, and, you have a beautiful house, and I think me and my friends could come by and do some work. And she was just like, well, John, I don't have the money. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. If you agree, we can come over and see what we can do, maybe a little yard work. And she said, yeah, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. Gave me permission. So I went home, and then I just posted about it on my personal Facebook page. I think I had like 200 friends or something. And I threw it out there. I said, hey, I'm going back. I met this woman. I'm going back to do some yard work. And if anybody wants to roll with me, send me a message. And sure enough, people started responding and said, hey, I'll go over there. I'll help you. I got 24 people together.
Some of the people that volunteered were friends of John's, but some he had never met before. They were friends of friends.
And we went over there that Saturday, and we attacked the yard. It was like a jungle out there. Had a family come and with their kids, and we just tore down a bunch of the overgrowth. We had another family inside cleaning up the kitchen. And we did a ton of work, and it was amazing, and I recorded everything on my GoPro. I made a nice little video, and one of those people there said, hey, there's like, this lady really needs help. You should consider going home, making a fundraiser and seeing if you can raise some money for materials and take this further.
It just turned into a lot more than expected. So I mentioned to him, you should put this online, and you might be able to get help, volunteers or people helping you pay for materials. And John, being the humble helper that he is, he didn't want to put it online because he thought that it was going to be more for recognition. He thought people were going to see it that way instead of, no, just people might want to volunteer their time. He ended up doing it within 2 to 3 days. It was like up over $10,000, but it was amazing.
That's Jenny Tully. She was there that very first weekend volunteering. Jenny's a longtime family friend, and she's known John for over 13 years.
John has always been a very caring, charismatic person. When anybody gets to know him, they love him. So Gloria just happened to call the right electrician. He really cares. When he talks about stuff, he's very passionate, and when he puts his mind into something, he completes it. He's not the type of person that's going to start a project and put it aside and then start something else. John's, he saw Gloria's house, he saw the problem, and he was all in 100%, and that's just his personality. So when he reached out to people, it's his persona, the way he speaks, the way he looks at you, it's all just very real. You just want to help him.
One of those people that wanted to help John was Sean Coakley, owner and president of Atlantic Power Cleaning, an industrial cleaning company. The women that work in Sean's office had seen John's fundraiser page, so when John reached out directly to Atlantic Power Cleaning, they were already a little familiar with the project.
On a Friday, the girls in my office called me and said, hey, there's a guy that called and needs a dumpster delivered to a residential site.
And while residential dumpster delivery isn't exactly the request that Sean Coakley is used to getting, as Jenny Tully mentioned, John just has a way about him that makes people want to contribute.
Anytime that kid calls me and needs something, he's got it.
Sean is just one of many local tradespeople that volunteered time, labor, and materials to help John. And meanwhile, John's fundraiser, simply titled Nice Old Lady Needs Help, was really taking off. Here's John again.
Yeah, so the fundraiser took off, and then as the money kept coming in, like the scope of work kind of expanded. Because originally I only thought I was going to raise a few $100. I was hoping to like maybe repair her kitchen ceilings. And all of a sudden we have thousands. Now we find out a back porch is collapsed in on itself. So, hey, we have the funds, let's rebuild that. And now, hey, the leaky pipes throughout the house. Now we can, update your whole plumbing. And then she had holes in the roof. So, as the money kept coming in, the scope of work expanded, we were able to do more and more for her.
As the scope of the work grew, so did John's army of volunteers, eventually adopting the name Gloria's Gladiators. Over the next couple of months, the Gladiators created change not only in Gloria's house, but also in themselves. By participating in this kind act for Gloria, the community became closer, friendships were made, and hearts expanded.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like I said, I tell people I got to witness miracles every day, and I really did. It was just miracles every day. It was just a new set of people coming in and helping out. And I remember one summer day we were out there, and it was a beautiful summer day, and then all of a sudden these thunder showers came through. So like a downpour rain came, and we're out there, there's like 2-3 dozen of us. So we quickly set up these canopies, and it's raining, and then all the boys were on one side, all the girls were on the other side. And it was just, I remember looking around, and it was just like all complete strangers, and everybody was laughing and having a great time. And it was just very special. And it was like moments like that throughout the whole thing. And I just think this whole story happened during COVID, when there was just so much bad news on. And I think a lot of people just needed something good.
For John, one of the best parts of helping Gloria has been watching the experience through his 8-year-old daughter's eyes.
For me, it's great to be able to show her firsthand that one person can make a difference in the world. It's just, it's priceless to be able to teach her that lesson. So she saw this whole thing. I told her about her the first day. Hey, Kaylee, I met this old woman. And so she saw from day one what happened. And that's just very special. Same thing with my wife. It's just been just a blessing. They've been over there helping out, and we've met a ton of people around Woburn, and it's just been great all around for everybody involved.
All told, John's fundraiser surpassed $100,000, and they've been able to accomplish almost all of the work that Gloria's house needed. So now, as John and Gloria's Gladiators are putting the finishing touches on Gloria's home, John is thrilled to see that his work is inspiring others.
It's really wonderful to see it just spread, but I definitely don't want it to stop with Gloria. My phone rings night and day now. There's definitely a need for it. And there's still a lot of people that want to help out. People are calling me every day saying, hey, how can I help out? How can I do this in my community? So there's still a ton of work to be done.
John is in the process of developing Gloria's Gladiators into an organization that can live on and hopefully provide a model for other community-led improvement groups. When looking for more info on how you can get involved, John suggests starting with the Gloria's Gladiators Facebook page.
We have almost 18,000 members, so I think that's a good source for information. We also create a website, gloriasgladiators.com. And on that, we have the volunteer sign-up sheets, and we also have other sheets where people in need can sign up. And basically, we're just compiling information right now, putting that structure in place.
After all the construction clears, John is confident that Gloria will remain his friend and in his life, and he calls her his adopted grandmother. And on a final note, John wanted to make sure that people understand that what he did wasn't taking on the impossible. It was just paying attention and noticing when someone needed help.
Sometimes that's all it takes, is just to get the ball rolling. So I would say check on your elderly, check on your neighbors, and it just comes down to one person can make a difference. And if you see something wrong, just, step up, say something, and get the ball rolling.
Thanks so much for sharing your day with us and listening to this Helpful Humans episode. If you enjoy the podcast, please consider giving us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. As a relatively new show, it's very hard to get through all of the murkiness of everyone that's out there, and ratings and reviews really, really do help. Theme music for Helpful Humans is provided by the amazing K. Michelle Dubois. Check out all of Michelle's latest offerings on her website at kmichelledubois.com. Follow us on Facebook at Helpful Humans Podcast, where you can see updates to stories that we've covered and perhaps suggest a story of your own. Thanks for listening.